and whatever I see is smiling at me. Love is who I am. Hello there, beloved Ascension pioneers, and happy New Year 2016. So, what will be happening? What will this year bring? Don't expect me to tell you that because we are all masters of the new. We're moving into a deeper, refined self mastery, and those of you who have been really stepping up, and the entire 2015 has been a recalibration of our mastery, really walking into the soul alchemy of our true essence and starting to work more with soul essences, which you probably noticed if you've been watching my last videos during the holidays. So if you have been really connecting to what this energy feels like now within you, you will feel that instead of being guided more, jumping on the first ball, checking in what people are saying about 2016, what will it bring, all this information of the World Wide Web, really, instead of that, tuning deeper within and seeing, but what do you wish it to be? So instead of me telling you in this Ascension update, as I've been usually doing my monthly Ascension updates, the Spirit guided me to do this differently and instead tell you the main components that are really guiding us deeper into our self-mastery, because Spirit showed me that as our group of Essential Pioneers is ascending deeper, we're almost like, walking through steps and steps of these alignments that we really connect to deeper refinement in each moment. And for a lot of you, it might feel like certain old things no longer work for you. As I've been trying to do my yearly tarot this year, and this was just before Mercury went retrograde, I felt like almost this feeling there's not enough time and space to do that. But then the truth of the nature of the situation was that this no longer feels right, because working with the essence, which if you have been following my invitation through Spirit to just set these intentions for the work of essence, which means what do we desire to co-create with and partner up with our life, and then invite these as external opportunities, as people, situations, pardon me, resources that come our way. So instead of saying, ooh, I'm going to jump for the first ball and see what every astrologer online is saying about this year and every energy reader and every healer and whatnot, I'm going to tune into my own mastery. So as you know, the planets were all moving in direct motion as the year began. I'm going to go deeper as I start going through my, notebooks, which are my kind of like overviews of what I want to be speaking about, because there's a lot, and probably this will be another long video because we're actually entering into a new energy. It's like a rewriting of the energy, but it's not like sudden. It doesn't happen right away. So it's almost like all the energy is always in spirals. It's happening in spirals and it's cyclical. And what this feels like, it's a stepping up. And what I felt during this year was this feeling brand new, and every year we do, but this new year for me, this new year felt so different because every expectation was surrendered, and that's when in the end things were happening with their own rapid speed of manifestation in the way that I couldn't even comprehend with my human mind. So people like to say often, take a holiday from the holiday, because the holidays can be so festive and stressful for people who live it that way, but also for us because we might be feeling that lots of things were coming into a resolve during the last days of the year, and this was how it was for me personally as well. And I will talk about this, but I want to say that instead of jumping for the first gun and seeing all the information that's out there, so that's how it was for me. As I was completely plugged off, of the online world. I only checked Instagram every once in a while. For a few days, it really felt good because I was able to be more present with life and the real situations, and that's how we truly gain our self-mastery. It's not just mentally and with all the information we receive, but actually embodying in our physical life. And when I tune into the World Wide Web, especially the YouTube channel, I don't see a lot of people talking about the soul embodiment. Lots of people talk about the ascension is in terms of what's happening and what energies are bringing, but in the end, no one can prophesize for you what this year will be like for you, because in the end, you're in your own cycle of evolution in this experiential journey of your soul that is so intrinsically you. It's so unique that you in the end will be stepping at the threshold, connecting with your own spirit and really learning how to trust it. And life will bring you situations that will ask you to call in that deeper trust of life, to regain that deeper trust in life through everything that's happening and seeing everything that you interact with as an energetic component that's already within you, but somehow you call it out so you can see it more deeply in order to integrate and embody it. And this whole year of 2015 was about soul alchemy, which means bringing the essence of our soul into the root of our being. Because for many star beings, the essence of physicality is sexuality, which means that deep intimacy with all life, breathing the cosmic breath of life, becoming the masters of our tantra. And I was speaking a lot about this towards the end of the year. And this year, as we're walking into the year of illumination and refinement of our mastery, and as well as blessings and true love, what we're actually doing is we're more called to that deeper intimacy in what we feel. What do we want this year to be for us? And I was tuning into some of the content that I was actually absent from a while, and I've seen how much content there was online as I've accessed my YouTube channel, and I saw, wow, the question that arose was, why do we always need to produce so much content? Why are we always working so much and mentally and talking and assessing? And this slow moving energy now that this Mercury retrograde brings is, in the holiday season right after Christmas, which was actually the full moon in Cancer, which was coming and returning to our home state of being and feeling that peace with ourselves. And then after that energy, Uranus went direct, which is that higher mind, was like bringing us this new energy for our personal cultivation where we are. But then, right as the new year began, and that was on the 5th, which is the number of change, it's always the number of change, it's like you even see it like 5 can be, almost interpreted as an S, so it's always like this. It's always moving in either direction. So, which means we're always in between that polarity, and we're in that middle ground, in that in between spaces. So what we really feel in each now moment, and working with essence is completely different than saying I'm going to do a monthly reading, yearly reading, month per month, and what the theme will be for each month. But the energy now is so guiding us to that now moment that we can't know, even the higher selves of who we are, because we're entering into this new space of being completely rooted into our hearts. So that as I tried to do this yearly tarot guidance, the feeling was so weird. And I asked, why is this? Why can't I do it? And why was there no time? Every year I had time. And this year it's almost like Spirit brought me so much physical happening that I was almost mentally unable to follow. And that is the only reason why this was so, is that my mind could be completely off. So because sometimes when we're living with that speed, I'm not saying in the pursuit of when you're like trying to do things very quickly, or try to control something, but things in life coming so quickly at you that the only thing you can do is just observe and become a part of that dance. I'm going to give you some of the examples later as I'm going to move into this update, but it almost feels like having no other choice but to let go and live in the presence of the moment, and without trying to control what will be each month, what we will be integrating. The integration will come as a natural process of your mastery, because you will know where you are. And I don't see a lot of people talking about this the way I do, which is what makes me so proud of us as a community of essential pioneers, and those of you who are doing and being guided in a similar way, that we really are bringing the work of consciousness, that we are working with consciousness. We're not just working with what the year will bring, what the energy is like, but how is your consciousness uniquely responding and co-creating with the world that is our external world, still always from your inner bubble of love, from your inner creativity, what it feels right. So as this slower moving energy with the Mercury retrograde came, it was very exact. It almost felt like, oh, things starting to go so slow. And often we need that, because in this society, which is so driven towards success and goals and manifestation, even in the New Age, and especially in the New Age movement, a lot of people don't just live. We forget to live. We're constantly creating something. And of course, life is creativity. But a lot of these creations are still coming from our mental levels. It's not that soul passion, which just Sometimes it works on levels when you don't even do anything and you're creating, because you're allowing your tantric flow to come, and it comes like waves. You know, if you imagine yourself like a being that is a sexual being of source, then your sexual energy is creative energy, which means it's going to come in these pulsating waves, and you will feel that as sometimes a great giant wave. You're going to be able to express so much and do so much and be so much, and other levels will feel like slower moving energy. And the same way our planets rotate, and it's how they dance, this cosmic dance of co-creation with ourselves, with all of us in unity. So you don't have to understand astrology. You don't have to know when every planet is moving direct, retrograde, what planetary association it's making, but you will feel that there are certain things that are so divinely structured, and until the point you will feel that all of them are this way. That every single thing you're feeling, even if it feels like in your essence in the moment as negative or a blockage or whatever it is, it's still for your greater good. Because as you understand this cosmic dance, you're not trying to work against it, you're flowing with it. And that centering in the heart is something that we can only experience. When I look into the nature of my work and how it's been transcending throughout these years, as the first began, I see there's such an immense change, I cannot even comprehend it. But the thing is that Spirit always tells me that I need to live this way, that I first feel and live it and integrate it, then I can share it. And when this kind of comes across the threshold, I will know it. I'll have so much within, that's gathered, that it will feel like anxious if I don't put it out and share it. So that's when this cosmic outbreak of creation is, shared that way. And I can only do this work this way. I don't share mentally. I don't say, oh, I get this idea, I need to share it. But I need to feel. And when I feel and simply live life, everything culminates together. Everything is a part of this, what needs to be shared in the right moment, so that the people who are connecting are receiving what they need. So this is very much more important, and especially the love that we are, the feeling of that intimate love with our companions, with life in general, with just being the self that we are. It's so much more important than all the information. So this year, of course, it is the year of 9 frequency, and now we're in January, which is, it's actually very much connected with the energies of 1 and 19, and again the 10, which is in a way the dance of endings and beginnings. So that's why when Mercury goes retrograde, we still might feel that as things that we need to kind of wrap up, that we need to finish. But the thing is that these are not external events. Everything that we feel is basically just the seed of life, of that manifestation, which maybe we haven't yet completed, is returning now, so we can fully integrate it. Because sometimes we, on our spirit self, we're so fast, our body needs to catch up. So the Mercury relates to our lower mind, which means that we sometimes need to mentally perceive that higher logic, higher knowing, higher intuition in the way that it's slower. The body is still the slower moving part in our creation self. And I always tell you that we're already ascended in a level of that is higher self level, but we're ascending this body in the human experience, and we're changing the human genome this way as we're doing this, to our light DNA pouring into our human DNA, making this beautiful love dance in the game of basically completion, which is the integration through cosmic love and union. So okay, let me begin with this. So this year, I've shared with you before, the number 9 is the hermit number in tarot, but it's also the number of that wisdom that we've gathered. And we've been gathering so much wisdom, but now it's going to be time to live it. This year will be time to live it, to become it. So it will be in a way that ending in everything we have been gathering for the past basically 9 years. So if you look back into year probably 28, which is somewhere along the lines of where my awakening initially began, well, started to begin, and you will feel like you won't always need to do so much. You don't always need to process so much information. So when I felt this, moving again from that inner space and just feeling life that was happening as I was creating and dancing with it and integrating in myself, and then moving into what's being shared, I saw the lots of content as I was, just tuning into it, was just shared, because I see a lot of people constantly need to produce something. I'm not saying there's something wrong with that, but those of us who are moving into deeper levels of mastery, we will feel that it doesn't always have to be so. And for me, this past year has been a lot like that. It's been constant action after action after action. I feel this year now, it's really going to stabilize what we have been kind of like creating. But again, I cannot tell you what this year will bring or what the energy is like. In general, there are some themes that are, general with the general numerology and how this in a cosmic wave can be seated for us in the cycle. But whether we will co-create with it and benefit from it or not, this really does depend on us. And still, how we do that, again, it's even a more unique component to what this year will be for us. So if you are still being called to browse through every single video, what people are saying about this year, stop before you do any kind of action and ask for the motivation behind your every single action. Because when you become a master of focus, which is the master of you and your life and your reality and how you create it, you will always ask, what is the drive behind this? Is it love? Is it higher guidance? Or is it me trying to pursue so much, trying to gather that which maybe I'm not even ready for? Because it's not just that some things are not needed for us, some things we're not ready for. And a lot of times people will not be guided to, maybe you send someone a video or someone sends it to you, and it's not always everything for us. It's because we're having these inner cycles that are just ours. It's just between us and our spirit self and how our soul is integrating it. So for the beginning of the year, it's really important to know that it doesn't just begin all at once, that not everything now suddenly will come together and we will, we will have it all. But it's the beginning journey. And with this number one frequency of January, it feels like we're just beginning. So taking those baby steps, slowly, 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 being so patient. And this year might not even begin, because the Mercury retrograde begins so fast that this year we're actually going to have 4 instead of 3, which is very unusual, and yet it's beautiful because it shows us that it will be time to more be in the state of receiving and reaping what we've already been seeding before, and learning the cultivation of what we're creating, not just in this each moment, but there's many souls who are master souls who have been laying the foundations throughout their lifetimes. So it isn't just what you've created in these past few years or past few cycles in this lifetime, but the co-creation of everything you've been gathering on a huge, greater outpouring of your oversoul level, coming into these aspects that are soul-based and unique. And then these dances are coming together. And ascension, in truth, not being linear, as in terms of moving from third dimension, then to fifth dimension, and then progressing further. It's not like that at all. I've shown you how spirit has been showing me this as a vision. It's like zipping along the lines of the zipper, just doing the zip, like pieces of the zipper coming together, very much resembling the DNA codes. So the spirals of the DNA strands, and actually this is the 12 dimensional, 12 realms of creation, all coming up together into completion. So it's a multi-dimensional process. So you can tune in all of these levels simultaneously. And if we feel in any level that we're being overwhelmed by this, we need to stop. We need to take a breather, because if we're overwhelmed, it means that we're mentally trying to understand it rather than feeling it in our hearts. And the heart doesn't need so much information, because the heart is always connected already to the cosmic pulse of the white mother light of creation. And then our Christed solar logos is bringing us all that we need in each moment, so that we're always in this beautiful alignment. So as I began my new year, I felt really washed over from all this, all that was unnecessary. And a lot of things we feel are necessary is just because our mind thinks they are, and they're still trying to do things the same way, although our soul, coming more and deeper into our bodies, already needing less. It wants more simplicity. Complexity no longer applies here. So if you feel like all of a sudden you're not guided to do the same things anymore and things don't make sense, it's not because something's wrong. It's because something is good, because you're walking into this change. And that's why I feel it's no coincidence that this Mercury retrograde right at the beginning of the year happens on the 5th. So this whole year will be, that's almost like our first change that happens. It's how our year begins. So this whole year will be about going at it slowly, so there can be a more steady path, and also resting more, receiving more, reintegrating more. So we're actually re-experiencing some things. They're not old, but we're deepening them. So each retrograde is not, something to create more havoc or fear, or, oh, now things are going to go wrong. But it's a deepening of our experience. And when we're masters of the self, of our soul, we know this. And we know when the energy slows down, even we have lots of things and ideas, we need to be patient with how they come about. So as I was starting to record this video, first of all, I couldn't record it outside because we had snow. So the snow began right with the Mercury retrograde, which is again a slowing of the energy, slowing down. I couldn't record outside because of all the snow. And at the same time, I had some camera difficulties, which I never had before. And I was just observing it. And I was asking myself whether it's because of the retrograde itself or is because I'm not meant to record it. And I said, if the third time it doesn't work, then I won't record. But it did. So, it's almost like you're going step by step into feeling of your heart rather than saying this month will be like this. And it's so rigid. We're seeing, you want to see half a year ahead or 1 year ahead or a few years ahead. One thing is to feel your purpose, which is already you. It's already your chosen destiny. It cannot get away from you because it's in your soul. Who can steal it from you? No one. Only the fear, that makes you believe something's being taken from you, but it's not. So we don't need so much always in advance. What we need to know is the feeling of what essence we're working with in each moment. So let's say when you deepen the work with your essence self, it's, let's say you've been working a lot, but you say, I didn't have so much time for love or to just be present with myself or to be playful. What is the essence you haven't been maybe integrating so much? You haven't been fully enjoying in your life. Then bring that into your life. So when I did, instead of the yearly tarot guidance, the essence reading for myself, and I started with January, what came through was love and intimacy, and it felt really in resonance with myself because I've always been doing a lot of work that was easy for me, but it didn't have so much time to just feel, to just have these moments when you're sharing companionship and in harmony with another, or to just be present with another. And I said, wow, this is really in harmony and in synchronization with what I feel. So, okay, let's begin with some of the things I wrote here. So one thing is to experience first, integrate, then share it with the world in whatever way you do as Ascension Pioneer. Also, with this number 9 frequency, it's important to look into, if you are a little bit of interested in astrology, what Spirit showed me is it's very good to notice how this number 9 is presented in our galactic signature in our chart. So if you're interested, I still am kind of like keeping it for a bit longer, my holiday special on galactic signature workshop and cosmic convergence workshop for the reduced energy exchange. It's going to stay a while longer. It's how I'm guided. So it teaches you some of these things, how you can observe these patterns and archetypes in your chart. But the number 9, almost you can associate with the 9th house. So look at what you have going on in your 9th house, or if you have any planets, or what kind of maybe stellar codes you have in there. Like for me personally, I have a very huge number 9 influence because I'm an ascendant in Sagittarius, and the 9th house is the Sagittarius house. I have Sun and Mercury conjunct in the 9th house, which is that philosophy, higher thinking, the student of life, and then teaching that through life, and with nature and travel, foreign lands, just being that openness. It's like expansion kind of. So that number 9 brings us the energy of expansion as well, the energy of Sagittarius, which is beautiful because, we had that Saturn moving through Sagittarius, which was a lot of our commitment coming through, organically flowing with our ascension rather than trying to control it. Let's say we were working on release work, and a lot of people, I see how they work with release is saying, I no longer feel resonant with that, I don't feel aligned with that, so I'm going to release it. But they mentally do that releasing work. They don't allow the releasing as they intended happen naturally and fully organically. So what we do, we've all did that, we don't like something, we rather wish to be somewhere else. So our control self, what it does, it's like, I'm going to quickly release it so I can come from point A to point Z. And what we do is we want to skip the steps. Well, that releasing journey really needs to happen naturally in a beautiful flow. And if we don't allow this, Mercury retrograde will bring us back, or whatever kind of retrograde that you really deeply connected to. Like I have Mercury retrograde on my natal chart. So for me, this always works. I always feel good during the retrogrades because I can do a lot of work and a lot of it can be finished. So it will be uniquely influencing you. That's why I made this course, to make you deeply understand yourself on a level that's not so mechanical and instrumental and only on the surface, so you can see what's really going on for you personally. So it's very much important to notice how you co-create with these energies. And what I felt was that we really need to work deeper with these archetypes. So the number 9 will bring us lots of expansion. So something we have been already working and seeding towards this year, it has the ability to suddenly flourish or suddenly come about, or really be in terms of expanding in our physical life. Because I feel number 9 is that Sagittarius, which is the physical experience of it, the organic ascension, the connection with nature. So those of you who haven't been doing lots of nature deepening work, you've been only mentally getting information and, thinking that Ascension is just a mechanical process. Well, I've always been living in this elven consciousness. I'm outside most of my time when I can. I really deeply tune into the energy and all the elementals and all the pillars of creation. But for those of you who haven't maybe been tuning more deeply into that part of you, this year has the ability to bring you that. So it's almost like we need to tune into that, what we desire, where this will expand us. So not just, what's going to happen, what this year has in store for us. Give me a psychic reading, give me a reading in general. It's always crying out for something you wish to know so you can better understand through control. But we don't really know ourselves through the understanding of that control. What we really know ourselves is when we allow love to show us the way. And love will always come in each moment. So my example for sharing with you is this love and intimacy, which really felt right for me. But you, in the end, have to find your own essence that you, in this moment, feel like you need to, not need to on the level which is mental, but it's needed on a soul level for you in order for you to grow. Because sometimes we wish to be somewhere from here to there, but there's steps in between and we don't want them. And there's something standing there, but we don't want to see it. We already want to be there. And lots of people do that in relationships. They say, oh, I want my twin flame. I want this partnership. I want this beautiful, whatever it is. To have this mental imagination of what this is like. And Spirit is bringing them the steps for this, for this path. The beloved is a path. It's not a goal. It's not a coupling up with someone. And when this is brought to us, it will be brought through these steps of integration that we need so we can embody our soul. Because in truth, what I notice in my own life is that the body is adjusting to this because our bodies, our human bodies, have not been used to so much love. They have not been used to so much pleasure. And when we have true soul pleasure, not the carnal, physical, attached kind of pleasure, but true soul bliss, true pleasure, when there's so much tantra flowing through you, a lot of times your body cannot cope with it so much all at once. It will feel like, oh, it's also making you tired and drained, not in a bad way, but it's slowly adjusting. So we have these retrograde periods to help us adjust to all this, to all that's good, all that's really soulful and beautiful. I have a beautiful mastery course on cultivating our tantra and really understanding the nature of our sacred sexuality. And this year I feel so called to move deeper into that. And it's just something that for me is so intrinsic. It's just the deepening of the work and everything I've been doing. Most of the creations I do, they're not created on the physical level. The physical is just the last level that follows. But everything in my life, as I was tuning back and really tuning in what was really all about, I've been actually creating through my tantra. Is like every post that has gotten me higher, I've been then connecting and creating on that level. And just this holiday, I had this beautiful dream when I was explaining to someone. I was like raising up my kundalini and the tantra we shared, and I said, wow, when I climax higher, when I move my tantra life force higher, the whole group benefits. And I woke up and I was like, of course, that's how it is. Because when we cultivate our higher life force essence, the whole group soul will benefit, and then it's going to spread out and spread out. And that's why we're really here for. It's not just trying to understand the nature of ascension mentally, debating, discussing, trying to see where you are and where I am and compare. This won't no longer work for us. Those of us who are moving deeper into this work of soul refinement, we're just going to be faced with this understanding of where we are. Why are we here? The rest doesn't matter so much. It's just in order to finding union even in the space between words and all that we think is important, but in truth it's not. It's the love that we share. So the integration is really important. Integration doesn't happen all at once. It takes time, it takes patience. And when you will allow yourself not just to receive informationally, but in your body, then cosmic waves will start to lift you up. In the end, I'm going to provide this short tantric breath, the deepening of this breath exercise for all of us. I hope it will find a special place in your heart for me as much as it did for me. Okay, so I'm going to give you my example of what really was playing out during the new year, because I've heard that many people had a different new year than they expected, and things were for some of them hectic or brought some sudden realizations or some things. And you know that for us, it's no longer the events, but the events are showing us the energetic dynamics that's happening within. So my own example, specifically for when the energy was shifting from Sylvester's to the New Year, was there was a triangle playing out. And it was connected with other people. So as I was tuning deeper later after that, was these two people actually represented the essences of myself, which was the old self, and something I no longer can associate with because it's so foreign, because I no longer am willing to hold the space for that. And I've been holding the space for that part of me for so long, because I thought maybe that part will develop in that way. Maybe that part will go that way, but it didn't. So in truth, I realized is something that it's not about the other, but it's about the part of us that sometimes we so kind of wait something to be on the outside instead of allowing where we are now. And certain parts of us, they didn't flourish. Like certain relationships, they didn't flourish. And letting go means that it's going to happen naturally. So when the other pole of the triangle I've been looking into actually represented the new, and that represented that new which I wish to be aligned with, which I already am, but it's just consciously on all levels choosing it. And it was that just being in the presence and sharing and intimacy and partnership in terms of that connection through intimacy, and it felt like that's really what's the case. So that was my new year, and when I saw how the energy dynamic shifted from one to the other and how things happened for the greater good of the whole group that was involved, I felt such deep peace, and it was exactly how it needed to happen, although our minds sometimes won't be able to comprehend. But we will if we give ourselves the time for each moment to feel, okay, what's the guidance now? What am I feeling now? It can shift so fast. For those of us that are masters, maybe one day you're going to feel something, or 1 minute, and the other one you'll feel different. And go with it, just be with it, because if you're trying to rationalize it, you won't do yourself any good. You just need to go with what's presented to you in the moment. So we really have to choose what we align with. For example, I began my new year with this beautiful video, with this beautiful song, and it was just so deep, and it was so full of messages for me. These messages were like overflowing my soul, they were nourishing it. And that's how we do essence work. Let's say something, whatever it is, spirit sends you, you have a deep association with it, and it speaks to your heart. It doesn't speak to your rational brain. This will be this year, this will go back. Okay, you're trying to fill your mind with all this information. Has a totally different energy to it, right? I'm sure you had that experience. When it feeds your heart, you will feel like so good and your tantra will start to lift off. And that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to start paying more attention to this year. And as I was watching that video, I did it like over and over again. And I asked myself, why am I doing that? And it was like a part of my setting intentions. Not every intention is set the way we used to say, okay, write these intentions here in a notebook, or imagine or do visual boards. These are all old things. Your soul will bring you everything you need in each moment. Then you tune into it. Does it feel exciting, full of vigor and life and majestic feeling? Well, that then is the essence you're bringing forth, and you're almost like feeding your physical body with it. And anything you've started this year with, people always say how you begin your year, the rest of your year will look like. Well, for me, it was very interesting, and I had a beautiful experience, and I thought, wow, if that was how my whole year would be about, then I'm already fulfilled. And it is really like that. It can be like that. So pay attention, and even if for you it felt it wasn't fully like that, every year, every day begins, in truth. Every day begins a new year. That's what I meant to say. So it's like we really need to first embody that essence, and we do that by allowing ourselves to be nourished and fueled by that essence. So rather than seeking anything like person or a situation on the outside thinking it will fulfill us, but they won't ever play their role for us. The role for us is for each to walk into the awareness and work with our soul essence. And I see people sometimes say, oh, like people who are in the twin flame path, that's what they call it. They say, well, I haven't yet received my twin, or, they're like always observing, they're always waiting for someone to come and jump around the corner saying, I haven't yet received my twin. It's not a journey. Again, I mean, it's not a goal, it's a journey. And this way we still perceive it linearly. We're still almost like waiting for something. It's like we're holding the space for something, like it's not there yet. So when we live, let's say you have a relationship with someone and they're not yet your highest how you envision it, or they don't have like, for example, twin soul has the same purpose. They align in every single thing that's soul oriented in terms of the mission, but you still feel so called to a person or to a situation. And that calling, that magnetism is already the right pull of your soul. Only your mind can doubt it and say, well, it's not yet that, but then why are you being called to it? Why are you having the exact experience? Then a lot of people try to rationalize these things, as well as the other pole of the equation, when they so project their beloved energy into one specific person that it can become an obsession. And maybe they're not even with the right person, but they're so mentally desiring it. And that happened to me with someone doing that towards me. And I felt it and I know how it looks like. And it's not really pretty, but it's definitely probably what these people want to experience. Otherwise, it wouldn't be happening. And what we can do is share a space of love and presence and know in our awareness that things are much deeper than just like that. So, yeah, well, that's so much about this. A lot of us are experiencing this deeper refinement in this beloved energy, which is something that you are. It's always there. It's not like someone brings this to you, but how I experiencing it's really magical and how I live. It's not that people fulfill that role for me. For me, it's more like I'm already living this way. And when someone comes my way, and if the connection is very much primal through that creation self and it's beautiful and it's full of presence, the beloved experience will just deepen because the kundalini life force we can cultivate in our body, but tantra is how we share it. So we can only experience these tantric connections with other people, and that's why relationships are so important in our life, and certain things we can only integrate in these partnerships. So these partnerships are like stepways for us, and if we don't embrace the twin soul journey as the journey, we will always see it like the end. Well, this person is that. This person is my fixated, ideal of what I project into through what I want. And that's why I asked you, check behind every motive, behind every single interaction you have in your life. So nothing is not arriving, or you say it's not arrived. You already are that. How does it not arrive? You might not have it as, I don't know, a physical house or a person or whatever it is, but you're in the essence of it. You are the template, and that's why I say the true pioneers we create with our tantric flow. We don't create only with resources that are just physical. These are such lower levels that they always follow last, and they're just here to sustain the level of physicality that we still need while our mission is still in place and while we're needed here. So also, we have Jupiter moving retrograde on the 7th. So you see how much the energy wants to slow us down at this moment. It's really almost like the Mercury is moving from Aquarius back to Capricorn. So the Aquarius is that sign of future and freedom and liberation and the new age, of course. But we're still going back to Capricorn, which is what structures do we need for us to really delve into that. So we really need to see how this is playing out for us. So then the year, as it begins, it's going to be with the new moon. This will be our first lunation. And again, it happens with the numbers that we are playing out during this January month. And it's on the 9th or the 10th, where you are in the world. And these numbers and the 19 degrees are very essential for us at this moment. They're very influential. And how they're playing out, again, check your cosmic signature, see what you have in these degrees, or how this is influencing you, or where there's Capricorn in your chart. And that's where this will be important for you. So Capricorn is like the foundation. So you see, we start this year with slowing down, and then what's the foundation? What we really wish to bring forth, and then stepping firmly into that. So this is almost like, what does this new structuring moon mean for us personally? And how do we create that magic? Well, I create magic from within. It's not on the outside. So this means being fully present with life, speaking, listening. What are the messages? Every single moment has these messages. I'm going to give you this example. I couldn't talk to this person, during this new year. And there was this intimate moment we had between all this that was happening, and I was guided to check something online, and there was these words that almost like spoke to me, like the person would say it to me, but they didn't say it. But the truth, it was this beloved energy speaking through it. It was just so beautiful. It was a moment between words, between everything, and its message. And when you live that way, you're always in magic. You recognize every single thing as message. Every single people, every single person, every single event, it's the dynamics of your alignment, and then you feeling, are you still aligned with that or not? And then not trying to control the releasing of that, but feeling ready. And when the readiness comes on all levels, it will just disappear. It will be like, let's say you have a person that annoys you and you so badly want to get rid of them, but they won't go away. It's because you're just trying, pushing against the stream. You're just trusting that for the greater good it unfolds, like characters in a play. Every single one has to find their own specific in each moment. That's the beauty of it. When we really allow. So speaking, listening, beyond the words, reading between the fine print, between the lines, fully deepening the intimacy, which is that trust in life and every message we get. So I had this beautiful, profound guidance during the holidays, and although things were happening fast, and I felt, wow, I was creating them, I know. But I felt that the main message was so much is happening, so the mind cannot comprehend. That's why it needs to like let go. And we were watching a lot of the concerts from Andre Rio, and I saw this thing. I was just having it there on the computer, and I catch a glimpse of when he said in his concert in Brazil, he said people were so loud and they were playing along and singing. There was so much, havoc. And he said there was so much music coming at me and from to back. And at a certain point, I couldn't no longer, I could not handle it. The only thing I could do is let go, allow the mind to disappear, and I just play with my heart. And that's when we get it. And I had this one same experience when I went skating with someone. Only did some of the ice skating again after a few years since we moved here, and I wasn't yet fully firm on the skates. And I got these new skates, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna trust. It's gonna hold me by the hand. It's gonna be okay. And I was like, all of a sudden, because there was darkness, because there was disco lights, it was kind of disco dancing skating, and the music was amazing. I didn't know what to do. At a certain point, I just surrendered. I just trusted. I felt such a high, like this rush of your soul when you trust it. It's like every move, there was people constantly coming and falling on the floor, and it was so much happening. But how we flew through it was amazing, and I felt almost like a bit lifted off the ground, being the observer and yet being in the body as well simultaneously. So it isn't one of those experiences when it's too much for you. You withdraw your life force energy from the body, and you're only the observer. But it was both at the same time. You're floating, you're observing, and yet you're in the body, and that's what we're doing. That's our ascension. It's being that white pillar, fully grounded in the body in all ways, all levels. So, for a lot of you, it might be feeling also that you've come through a certain edge of something. It felt like this for me with one situation, and this was just a part of me that no longer felt called to hold the space for something I've held it for so long, because it just no longer was in alignment. And sometimes we do that because we think it helps other people, or because we think we're obliged to. And then the moment you awaken your self-love, which is speaking to yourself what you need, and I've been gathering, internally all the things that were so crucial for me in last year. And the main message for me was how I really establish my boundaries, the personal boundaries, because we still need them sometimes. It's connected with those boundaries that are of love. Let's say there's someone around you and they're not treating you with respect, but you're with them because you think you need to be, or they come and you think, now you need to be with them, or something like that. You think you owe them at least that much. There is no owing. There is no owing in mutual receptivity and the flow of love. So it's really about speaking firmly with love. And this last year, I've been guided speak so many times, because in the past I also used to be people pleaser, and I was too nice and kind and polite, and I realized that's not love. It really isn't. I knew that, but yet we need to embody it. So these things and situations come for our mastery, that we in a way cultivate them by actually going through them, by moving with them. So when we come through this edge, and I've shared my experience, things were happening so fast, my mind couldn't, so I just had to surrender and live it. And was, in a way, it was beautiful. So you will see also when the energy, even if it's happening fast, whether it brings you the sense of rush and feeling alive, or it depletes you of energy, it feels like it's tiring, it drains you. That's when you would know what's the old, what's the new. And a lot of times in the physical world, we live through contrast. So when I had that triangle playing out in my own reality, I felt, wow, that's how I needed to see certain things through contrast, because it's not necessarily duality. When you see it neutrally, you will feel, the contrast is just showing me where I stand, what's the alignment, and it's in the middle point between these two, let's say, very opposing energies playing out. And that's what I'm calling this video, that integration of polarity. So it's really time that we plug into things, not with the mind, but we really feel them. And what's life really live like when we feel, when we allow ourselves to move deeper? And that means being vulnerable. So that that allowance means allowing life to come, to teach us, to guide us. It's like giving the hand, and life giving you the hand and spirit. So also this slowing down, that I need to mention because of it. It's like a contrast to it. Every year begins like a fully new cycle, and that's where we're actually having this divine blessing this year with this slowing down, so we can fully feel what it will be for us. Not starting it with rush, or when I woke up the next day, I felt didn't feel like, no, it's different year, no, it's different. I just felt very new. And it felt like still there's steps, it felt very reasonable, because there's a lot of illusions about how things will change, how they will shift all of a sudden. And this year will be all about bringing down those illusions that we have about ourselves, and just allowing ourselves to be natural and authentic and spontaneous with life. So we might have still certain expectations and want to rush into our new year this year and what we all want to achieve and do. But this cosmic gift is really slowing down the timing at the very beginning, which I feel it's a blessing. And these 4 retrogrades will bring us this ability to move through this year with more presence, which means slower means that we can be more present. When you're already mastered in your presence, things can happen fast and you're still present, but not everyone is still at that level where they can do such, because their body is not used to that. So I'm not rushing into things. That divine creation always takes time, and learning about the in breath and out breath. So this year of illumination and clarity is bringing these blessings, that it's time that we disillusion ourselves, but then as we sacrifice those illusions of the ego, new things will come. We're getting more love in return. So what might feel as a sacrifice in one moment is actually a blessing for what more we will receive. And it feels like beginning a whole new project. Like these baby steps need to be implemented, and letting it just all together come, in a natural way. So the power of choice still continues. This month is a month for preparation. It still feels like preparation, and although it's a one energy, it also feels, because of this new moon starts with the on the 9th, and it has these 19 degrees. It still feels like, in a way, you know just allowing ourselves the space to integrate, rushing forward, which a lot of us do, because as essential pioneers, we're very hyper in the way we feel things. But still, becoming more human means becoming more integrated with the body. So it's a month of deepening the self and trusting our guidance in every single moment. And these big changes that are coming, we need to prepare ourselves for them. We need to prepare for these experiences to be taken and embraced on a physical human level, so the body gets used to it, and it's not just from here to here, but it's a journey. And it's not from 3D, like I've said, to 5D. It's not linear at all. It's allowing ourselves, like opening more and more, like in these cycles. I'm going to give you this visual now that I have here in my notebook before we do the last exercise. It's, if you imagine everything as a circle, and the circle always expands from inner to outwardly, right? And that middle point is where we always are. And for example, each planet holds the same capacity. So we see the inner planes of the planet, almost like the hollow planes, the hollow earth, the inner planes, that which always is there. So it's that higher potential, that seed, which is always there. But as we start to expand from that seed, there's going to be layers and levels, like levels of the onion, and these concentric circles. So as you become the initiate of spirit, as you're walking into the refinement of your mastery, what you will feel is, each time you will expand, you will also feel at the same time, if you imagine these arrows moving out, like expanding forward moving energy, outward moving energy, simultaneously there will be dots and these arrows pointing inwardly. I don't have my board here, so I could write it down for you, drew it for you, but it's like, you will feel the pressure or the position of the external world. And I felt this, that every time I've expanded and integrated more love, I had these initiations coming through. Let's say people would come and they would say negative things about you, or these kind of hooks trying to pull you, because they want to keep you in the safe and where you were before. And not everybody will move through all these levels to really become the liberation of their I am, to become their pure consciousness of the self mastery, because not everybody wants to or is ready. We can't do this in say this kind of ascension is for everybody. Everybody's ascending in a way because the spiral of life is ascension. But when I talk about the physical ascension in terms of becoming the master right here, right now, and all that you have on all levels, all that you are, that's a different thing. So our initiations are growing from inside out. On each level, there will be initiation for us, whether to stay here in the comfortable or move further. And it will be like on a cosmic wheel, which each level has its own tests, rules of the game. And as we pass them by, we're aligning with each level. So this is, again, this power of choice. What are we aligning with? And those of you who are moving very fast with your mastery, you will feel like these initiations happen for you so fast. It's like you can almost catch your breath. And this was how it always was for me in my life. But I needed this. So, you know, to be that 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 essence of what I am in this purpose to share with all of you, so together we can expand this way. So then not everybody will be guided in that same movement, and a lot of time when we have these contractions and want to stay for others in terms of, you know, keeping up with the with the Joneses and, you know, trying to hold that comfort level, then we won't really be honoring our heart. We won't really be following our path. So this moves us into these external realms of the expanded soul consciousness and beyond, this I am realms. So you can imagine, like, I've just shared with this with someone recently. It's like you have the circle, and most people where they are now is this new age circle, which is a lot of information, a lot of channelings, a lot of teachings, a lot of everything. And for a lot of souls, it's very, very hard to get through that because there's these tiny hooks, these astral hooks that keep you plugged into this consciousness, and you will need to use all your wit, all your understanding, all the love, basically, to see through these, to achieve your sovereign state, to move through these. And these are not negative. They're just there because each realm has a testing ground. It has its own rules of the game, but you need to learn to play your own rules. And when you do, you become a master of choice and you liberate yourself through that choice. So you won't see things like, oh, you know, these negatives and these oppositions and these false people and false prophets and the new age, you know, and all these things. But you will see it almost like, okay, this is how things are playing out on this level. This is a lot of people are there, you know, and a lot of people, when they wake up to this, they will feel those hooks coming inwardly in terms of, I need to save everybody who doesn't, you know, who doesn't know what's being played out. Let it go. Choose to expand further, because when you expand further, you're not withdrawing yourself from others and leaving them alone, because the circle is always the circle. You're just becoming more refined, and where you coming from is the essence of source. So from which concentric circle of that expansion you, from your own perspective, are coming from, and serving there from that perspective. So that's the beauty of it. So you don't save anyone, you don't get entangled, you don't get into these hooks. You're staying true by honoring your heart. And a lot of it has to do also with being present. I'm going to share one more thing before we do the exercise. It's that gift of presence to all life in creation. You are the biggest gift. We are. And a lot of masters, these cosmic masters in training is how I call us. We're moving away from that external and we're readying ourselves to be fully creating from our own tantric, this sacred sexual life force, which is our universal life force, and how we cultivate it through our own bodies in a unique way, that bubble of love, which I call. And when I was thinking about this, a lot of times we have these distorted expectations of what's really feminine and masculine. Well, the divine feminine and the divine masculine are not the same as the distorted divine feminine or distorted divine masculine. A lot of times we don't understand what's really the essence of each. So I had this beautiful run one day, and Spirit showed me this almost like through the archetype of the female or male reproductive organs. So, you know, the female are like a womb. They look like this. They look like the V shape, and it's like the feminine is even called the chalice. Well, the man is like this. You know, he's represented as the blade. So the feminine, imagine the female reproductive organs, and what do they actually do? When you imagine the sexual act, which is basically just an archetype of creativity, of masculine feminine essence, but it plays out on this level of, let's say, sexual union, for example. And the female is the inviting force. She invites, she initiates. So she basically also sometimes like begins things. She says, you know, like, should we do that? You know, it's like invites. While the masculine is that which follows, but it's not a follower, because it actually gives that action life force energy. So the masculine is the seed, the action that begins, it activates. So together they're whole. When we embrace these two internal energies, of the polarized energies of the unity within us, then we can really integrate them both. And then we can live as masters in integration. And when I have these mastery courses, in this last course, the 7th course, I talk about this, the mastering polarity and our twin soul essence, and how to really take that as a truth of creation, not as an addiction or obsession about a person. That's a whole totally different thing. So when you look at the nature of that, a lot of times in our relationships, we will say things to each other that are not right, that come from our patterns, because let's say the females say, um, why am I always initiating things? Or why am I like this? Why are you so passive? Or, it's like the moment we do that to each other, we're basically still going this victimhood and this blaming game. And I've seen just during the holidays, just someone was posting on Facebook something about, the females were raping men just as much as the men were doing to women, and they were demasculating them and this and that. And this does not solve and resolve anything. This blame, who was first? Was the chicken? Was it the egg? Who started what? It can never be just one. When you have the most intimate relationship you have with someone, they're your mirror. They're your most approximate mirror in this time. Otherwise, you wouldn't be sharing yourself with them, right? It's how it is. For the good or worse, let's face it, we have to be real. And whenever we have things like that, sometimes they come up and you say, "Oh, I have this and I feel this in you. You should clean this up, otherwise I don't talk to you, or you should get this solved, or we won't have a partnership," or whatever it is. We really have to see the difference between when someone is really projecting their stuff and their ego and whatever they do. And even if they do, is there something in us that still says yes to that? It's still a mutual game. So whatever it is, what is the mutual reciprocity in this? How are we participating? What is the truth? Because a lot of times we still go in finger pointing. And when we do that, we step away from the full empowerment and claiming our truth, claiming what we really express to ourselves. And the moment we start to, project our what we're integrating in truth to another, we're manipulating them. We're making our emotional clearing their own, and in truth, it's not. They're just our mirror that shows us certain aspects. And when we will see, let's say there's a distortion in communication and the dynamics between two, we will see. And we will see something playing out. And if our action in the beginning will be, "Oh my gosh, why are you doing this to me?" Or, "Stop doing this," or "We're still moving in through control," or "You started this," or "Why do you have this pattern? Why are you like this? Why is this coming from you and directed at me?" While instead, look at the nature of how maybe something in you that you're not really fully aware of trigger that in another person, for example, and seeing it with compassion. And when you can find that unity through resolution to communication, a lot of people have high expectations of another. They already want them to get everything, and maybe they don't. Well, talk to them from your heart. Explain to them, not through your mind and defending yourself, because that's the ego, but through compassion, just share your point of view in your own creation self without the fear that you won't be fully acknowledged and accepted and all of that. And this is where we're moving towards. And that's why this essence for January for me, and maybe some of you are tuning into that as well, in your own cycle of evolution, was that love and intimacy. How can we be more loving in terms of that accepting and seeing that everything that comes out in terms of partnership where there's two was kind of sprouted out together. There's two of you who co-created this energy, and only in partnership you can create this third energy. Even if it's just partnering up with spirit, which is where it all begins. Everything begins with our partnership with spirit. So that's something to be very aware of during this cycle. And let's do this last exercise, this workout. The first one, I'm going to show you the first one, which is, you can do those both simultaneously because it's all one. The first one is honoring the heart exercise, and it's so simple. It's, you know me, I'm very much the lover of simplicity. It's just basically in breath, out breath, heart, cosmic, everything is like this. And the honoring the heart exercise means that you just put your hands on your heart. And a lot of people, sometimes they ask me, why do they feel these thoughts? Why are these thoughts there? And I have a few younger people writing to me about these things. I've noticed this a lot in the younger generation. They have a lot of this, is because they're so open. Sometimes they're more open to all these thought patterns coming up, and they're not always of themselves. But if we try to rationalize these thoughts, why are you here? Where's this coming from? Is it the astral? Is it this? Is this person? Then we get always in this hamster wheel cycle because we're just not allowing this thought, whatever it is. Because if it is, we are the one who is accepting it as a part of the whole. It's our job. It's our mission as essential pioneers. It's how it is. We can't escape it, right? So honoring the heart means whatever you feel, if it's a feeling, if it's a thought, whatever you feel, if it's anger coming up towards someone or something. I've had this experience, and when I actually saw the physical person, I wasn't even angry at them. There was just remnants of that old feelings that I didn't even know where they were coming from, but they came from these old projections that weren't even of my true soul feeling of that companionship energy. So when we honor the heart, whatever, maybe it's a moment that upsets you, maybe not at all. You're just sitting every day with your heart for a few moments. Just do like this. Breathe in your heart and imagine your heart like this beautiful womb, like a spiral of constant connection with the mother light. It's constantly radiating and flowing and spiraling. And just ask it, what do you feel? And a lot of people, I had this person who said to me, I feel when you write to me or when this is so, I feel, what did they say? They felt annoyed. Yeah, they said, I feel annoyance. But that's not a feeling. A lot of people, they mistaken the feelings for an actual feeling of something. So annoyance is not a feeling. What is annoyance? Can you feel annoyance? Annoyance is the energy of something that you don't accept, and it's pondering for so long in you. It's like constantly there. It starts to bug you. It starts to literally annoy you. So in truth, you're not annoyed with the other person. You're annoyed with yourself because you haven't allowed yourself the opportunity to really feel what's beneath that, which you address as annoyance. It's deeper. It's always much deeper. So honoring the heart is knowing what's the essence that desires to express through me at this moment. Just honoring it. You just feel. Maybe you'll feel you just want someone to hug you. Maybe you want to be hugged. Maybe you want to be touched. And that's enough. Because we are physical beings. We do crave companionship. And if we don't have someone else, hug yourself, you know? But whatever it is, in this moment, honor it. Say, my heart, I feel you. I honor you. I fully trust you. And if you, even if you have, nothing like that in this moment, you feel you need to process, just when you're upset or something is coming through you, you can do it anyway, just by sitting, maybe each morning, each evening, just sit. And what else I've started to do is this daily tantric breath exercise. I've given this as a proposition to someone to do it together, but sometimes we need people that we say, okay, we're going to do it. It's almost like holding the space for each other, because a lot of times we just won't do it ourselves. That's how we are sometimes as humans, until we are so ready that we know that we are the initiating force. So this tantric breath is the deepening of the tantric breath technique, which is basically, as you can see it, that flow, that interplay of the masculine and feminine. So the masculine is that when you're participating with it, you're actually co-creating, you're being active in it, and the feminine is that stopping, that 0 point, that null, which is that space of just receptivity. So I'm going to show you very quickly, and then the end of the video. We're already too long this time, as always. You can put one hand in your chest, one in your belly area. You can sit, you can lie down, it doesn't matter. But what you do is you begin to breathe first in your belly, the belly breathing technique. And as you do so halfway, then expand the breath also in your chest. So, right, the belly and the chest. And at the very end of the breath, when you're almost done breathing in, squeeze your inner pelvic muscles, squeeze your tantric area. And then breathe out again from the same perspective, from here and down to the belly, down into your very base. And as you get to the end of your out breath, this is when your divine feminine comes in. So as we were breathing actively, squeezing, we're in that masculine flow. Then we let go completely until all of your body feels like zero, like a reset. Then hold your non-breathing state for a few moments. Whatever feels comfortable for you. It doesn't have to be 5 seconds. That's old. Forget about that. Just feel. And then, as you're going to do a few of those, you will see how your tantric life force will start to increase. Because you're not only participating with life, then you're also breathing out, pausing, just letting, observing, being in the life, which is just being. There's no producing. There's no, constant creating. Both are important, but it's up for us to feel how it feels in each essence so that we can bring them into union. That's what we're here for. Divine lovers of old and new, whatever, we're one. So as you do this for a while, you will feel this immense, blissful soul pleasure coming your way. This has nothing to do with carnal, physical seeking of pleasure on the outside. This is all the pleasure that your soul already is. And like I've shared with you before, when you start to experience this, whether when you do your own cultivation or when you're doing a tantric exchange with someone who can be your mutual evolutionary partner in the cycle where you are, then you will feel more and more of this bliss coming through. But your body in the beginning might be like, overwhelmed by it. So give it time. Go with waves. Stepping a bit away, consciously creating. Learn to feel when each is appropriate for you, for where you are, and honor it. Again, move into the body and say, I honor you. The heart. The heart is your primary guidance system. And because thoughts sometimes tell us, yes, but then, and then we start believing them. And that's when we start giving them power. The mental part of us, the lower mental levels, won't just naturally disappear by us forcefully letting it go and trying to override the lower mind with techniques or instant rapid manifestation or whatever it is. We need to first understand the part of us why we have created this experience. Why was there a dualistic experience and then going so much with this mental patterns instead of moving now where we are into this union? And when we have that understanding, we have allowance, we have acceptance, the new is birthed through, right? And it is so simple because as we start to understand this, we will see that our mind won't just naturally go away right away, but it won't be our master. The soul will start to take the place of a master, and the mind will still be there because sometimes it's a part of us as well. It has certain poles into how we will sustain ourselves physically, and it's still a part of us, but it will become an enlightened mind. It will become a soulful mind. So this is a process. So honor your heart, do the tantric in and out breath of life. Squeeze, slow, and that can be very, very, when I do it, it's a very slow moving out breath. It takes a while, and then a few seconds I just pause and I just feel my tantric area, the base of my physical existence, the root of my anchoredness into this planet, into the experiential self, and I feel how my soul is moving downwards and being and existing. And when I'm ready, breathing and creating and co-creating yet again. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful for you. Thank you for those of you who are writing. Those of you who haven't gotten your response yet, know that I was on a holiday. As I've said, the Galactic Signature whole package is still on the market. So thank you, all of you. Have a beautiful, happy new year. But remember, each moment is where new. It's how it is. So these are just cycles we're moving through as we're walking these beautiful planes of creation. Stay connected. Thank you for those of you who are donating. I'm so very grateful, so humbled and honored. And for those of you who are sharing your feedback, thank you as well. So that's it. I'll see you in a new video. I hope you like the new format, by the way. And as always, I love you all so much with so much grace. Love, wisdom, and power. Take care.
Welcome into